Greg, we're not having a very good morning. Welcome to the program. Greg Hunt. Good morning, Mr. Hunt.
It's a pleasure.
Well, just going to the catastrophe really in Japan, the nuclear power plant emergency, the nuclear emergency there, what it does, if nothing else, is underscore the real risk of nuclear power, doesn't it?
Well, nuclear energy is not our policy, and I can't see it occurring in Australia until such time as there was bipartisan support. More generally on Japan, if you imagine being in your home for your listeners and a wall of water higher than your roof tearing past, you get the sense of the human tragedy. Our view is that the government's doing the right thing so far, but we ought to look at something such as ensuring that in the recovery phase we might have teachers. There are thousands of Australians that have helped in Japan over the years. If we can help get the schools back running after the search and rescue, then we can help with Japan. But on nuclear, let me say this, that it's not our policy. I don't see it occurring until such time as there's a clear bipartisan support in Australia, and that may never happen.
Are you persuaded by the argument that nuclear power is clean in terms of emissions and would be a baseload alternative to fossil fuels?
Obviously, Australia exports uranium, and there's bipartisan support for that. I don't think there's any question in terms of our role in that part of the world's clean emissions and clean energy approach. In terms of Australia itself, I'd simply repeat that it isn't our policy. I couldn't see it occurring here until such time as there was clear bipartisan support.
Your leader, Tony Abbott, told the party room a couple of weeks ago that his issue is with the carbon tax, not with the science. There was a survey by the Australian National University that found that 40% of MPs, of your colleagues in the federal coalition, either denied the science or were sceptical of it. We saw the leader of the skeptics, Senator Nick Minchin, the other day absolutely lampoon the science. He, of course, just 12 months ago, a little over 12 months ago, claimed that a majority of the coalition party room were sceptical. Would you put it as high as 40%, or would you agree with Senator Minchin it could be even higher than 50%?
No, I wouldn't put it as high as that. Every party, whether it's people such as Martin Ferguson, who behind closed doors have expressed their doubts, or we've heard Simon Crean has also made similar statements, although they haven't been confirmed. Every party has people who are entitled to question the science, but our view is categorical that there is climate change, there is a significant human contribution, we need to take action. That's both my long-standing personal view, it's our absolute policy. Tony Abbott has repeated that on numerous occasions, and so the debate is not about action, it's about the type of action. I would note one thing, that Mark Dreyfus, a senior member of the Gillard government, compared Tony Abbott to a denier and to a Nazi war criminal on Friday. That is language which is utterly inappropriate in Australian politics. That was celebrated on the ALP's website, and I'd respectfully ask the Prime Minister to distance herself and to make it clear that that's not the ALP's approach.
Credibility does seem to be strained on all sides of this debate when we come down to the best way to deal with global warming. I'd just like to do a quick quiz with you. Who wrote these well-considered words? It is by harnessing the natural economic forces that the pollution tax offers us an opportunity to exert greater control over our environment. Do you recognise them?
Absolutely. Those are the concluding words of my 1990 undergraduate thesis. I understand it's on Peter Martin's website. I saw it last night. And for 20 years, this is work that I have done about identifying the difference between good and bad market mechanisms. A bad market mechanism is the home insulation program. A bad market mechanism was the green loans program. And a bad market mechanism is where you are trying to drive up electricity prices, which are essential services, in order to control demand. It has been rejected in the United States, in Canada and in Japan. and the world is looking at alternative approaches.
Yeah, well, just 2 years ago,
I've never changed my views on this.
Okay, well, just 2 years ago, you argued a market mechanism to deal with climate change. Here you were.
What we're proposing is an emissions trading scheme.
You were proposing that in 2009. Tony Abbott was arguing for a carbon tax with rebates.
And I think
If
what
you
you
want
find
to put a
is...
price on carbon, why not just do it with a simple tax?
Now, the underlying theme to all of that, of course, is that you're taxing the polluters. You're making the polluters pay. You argued that 20 years ago. You argued that 2 years ago. It seems a pretty valid argument to me.
Unfortunately, the nature of this carbon tax is that it operates in such a way as it's ordinary Australians who pay with a higher electricity price of $300 per annum as a starting point, a higher petrol price of 6.5 cents per litre, and these are both essential services. In economic terms, they're what are called largely inelastic goods. It means that you've got to drive up the price in order to have any minor impact on demand. It's incredibly inefficient, and so there are good and bad market mechanisms. What's been designed here is a bad market mechanism, rejected in the United States, as the Prime Minister effectively confirmed this week, rejected in Canada, rejected in Japan, and that's why we think there is a much better way
we'll look
than
at that.
electricity and petrol prices.
We'll look at that much better way with you when we return with the panel. We'll ask, how does